Turns out the secret ingredient in her midnight soufflés is someone else's sausage. I'm sitting here at 2 in the morning, staring at my kitchen counter like it's going to give me answers. The marble surface is cold under my palms, and I can smell the lingering scent of whatever fancy dessert my wife Nadine whipped up earlier. Probably for another one of her late tastings with clients. Right. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name's Elias Thompson, and I'm a civil engineer, 43 years old, methodical by nature, and apparently blind as a bat when it comes to reading the signs that my wife of 12 years has been serving up her pastries to someone else. The front door clicks open, and I hear Nadine's heels on the hardwood. She's trying to be quiet, but those designer shoes she insists on wearing everywhere might as well be tap shoes on our old Victorian floors. Elias? Her voice carries that fake sweetness she uses when she's been caught doing something. What are you doing up, honey? I turn around slowly, taking in her appearance. Her chef's coat is wrinkled, her hair's a mess, and she smells like Moscato and drywall dust. Interesting combination for a pastry chef who supposedly spent the evening at the Riverside Inn's kitchen. Couldn't sleep, I say, keeping my voice level. How is the tasting? She fumbles with her purse, and I catch a glimpse of something that makes my stomach drop. There's a key on her ring I've never seen before, silver, with a blue plastic head that reads, Ocean View Motel. Oh, it was fine. You know how these things go. The client was very demanding about getting the details just right. I'll bet he was. Which client was this again? I ask, though I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Vince Morrison, you know, the contractor who's been doing all that work on the waterfront properties. Vincent Morrison. Vince to his friends. 41 years old, owns Morrison Construction, and married to a woman named Sienna, who I've met exactly twice at town functions. He's got that rugged, blue-collar charm that apparently makes married women forget they have wedding rings. Right, Vince. I let his name hang in the air for a moment. Funny thing about Vince. I ran into his wife Sienna at the grocery store last week. She mentioned he's been working late a lot lately. Said she barely sees him anymore. Nadine's face goes pale, but she recovers quickly. Well, construction is a demanding business, especially with all the storm damage repairs from last month. She's good. I'll give her that. If I hadn't been suspicious already, I might have bought it. But the thing about being an engineer is that you learn to spot structural weaknesses. And right now, my wife's story has more holes than a condemned building. I'm going to head down to the workshop for a bit, I tell her. Try to tire myself out. Okay, honey. I'm going to shower and head to bed. I'll bet you are. My workshop is in the basement, a converted space where I keep my drafting table and computer setup. It's also where I keep things Nadine doesn't need to know about, like the GPS tracker I bought from my best friend Louis last week. Louis Carver runs the only locksmith shop in our little coastal Maine town of Millfield. He's got a dry sense of humor and a talent for acquiring things that might not be entirely legal, but aren't exactly illegal either. The GPS tracker falls into that gray area. I pull out my laptop and log into the tracking website. The little red dot shows Nadine's Honda Civic parked at our house now, but the history tells a different story. 3 times this week, her car spent hours at the Ocean View Motel. The same motel whose key is now jangling around on her keychain. My phone buzzes with a text from Margie, Nadine's bakery assistant. Elias, I know this isn't my place, but Nadine's been having a lot of these late tastings with Vince Morrison. Should I say something? Poor Margie. She's been trying to warn me for weeks, but I've been too stupid to listen. Or maybe too scared to face the truth. I text back. Thanks for looking out for me, Margie. I'm handling it. Handling it. Right. Like I have any idea what I'm doing. I hear the shower running upstairs and make a decision that probably crosses several ethical lines, but at this point, I'm past caring about ethics. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. Louis taught me a neat trick last month when Nadine claimed her phone was acting up. You can clone someone's phone using their iCloud backup if you know their password. And after 12 years of marriage, I know Nadine uses the same password for everything. Sugar Spice, 123. It takes about 20 minutes to download her backup to my laptop. 20 minutes of listening to my wife shower off another man's touch while I sit in my basement like some kind of pathetic private investigator. But when the download finishes and I start scrolling through her messages, pathetic is the last thing I feel. Now I feel like a man with a plan. The texts between Nadine and Vince go back 3 months. They start innocent enough, discussions about catering for his construction crew, pricing for corporate events. But by month 2, things get interesting. Can't wait to taste your special recipe again tonight. V. I'll make sure to bring extra frosting. You know how messy things get. N. Your husband doesn't know what he's missing. V. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Besides, you appreciate my talents more than he ever has. N. That one hits like a punch to the gut. 12 years of marriage, and she thinks I don't appreciate her. I've supported her through culinary school, helped her start the bakery, praised every damn cupcake she's ever made. But the real kicker comes in the photos. Nadine, in Vince's truck, wearing nothing but her chef's apron. Vince's hands all over my wife like she's his personal dessert menu. I close the laptop before I do something stupid like throw it across the room. Instead, I sit back in my chair and think, really think, like I'm planning a construction project. Every good structure needs a solid foundation, and right now, I need to build a foundation for what comes next. Because Nadine and Vince have no idea that their little secret isn't secret anymore. I pick up my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Sienna Morrison's number. We exchanged information at a town barbecue last summer, one of those polite social gestures you make and then forget about. Except now I'm not forgetting. The phone rings 3 times before she answers. Her voice is groggy, confused. Hello? Elias? It's almost 3 in the morning. Is everything okay? Sienna, I'm sorry to call so late, but we need to talk. I know what my wife's been tasting, and it isn't pastry. There's a long pause. Then her voice comes back, sharp and clear. So do I. Let's make them choke on it. The next morning, I wake up to the smell of bacon and coffee. Nadine's in the kitchen, humming while she flips pancakes, playing the perfect wife like she's auditioning for a cooking show. She's wearing the yellow sundress I bought her for our anniversary, the one she claimed made her look fat. Apparently, it doesn't make her look fat when she's trying to cover her tracks. Good morning, sweetheart, she says, not quite meeting my eyes. I made your favorite breakfast. Thanks. I pour myself coffee and sit at the kitchen island, watching her perform. You're up early for someone who had such a late night. Oh, you know me. Can't sleep in even when I'm tired. She slides a plate of pancakes in front of me. I was thinking maybe we could do something together today. It feels like we haven't spent much quality time lately. Quality time. That's rich, coming from someone who's been spending her quality time in a motel room with another woman's husband. Actually, I've got some errands to run with Louis today, I tell her. Rain check? The relief on her face is subtle but unmistakable. Of course, I should probably check on the bakery anyway. Margie mentioned some issues with the new oven. Right. The bakery, where she's been conducting her business meetings with Vince. After Nadine leaves for work, I drive over to Louis's locksmith shop. The bell above the door chimes as I enter, and Louis looks up from the key-cutting machine with a grin that says he knows exactly why I'm here. Let me guess, he says. The GPS tracker worked a little too well. You could say that. I lean against the counter. I need to ask you about something, and I need you to tell me honestly if it's legal. Louis raises an eyebrow. Legal is a relative term, my friend. What are we talking about? Phone cloning, specifically if someone has legitimate access to an iCloud account because it's a shared family plan and they download backup data for security purposes. Ah. Lewis nods slowly. Technically speaking, if you're the account holder and you're accessing data on your own family plan for legitimate security concerns, that falls into a gray area. Not illegal, but not something you'd want to advertise. Good to know. What did you find? I pull out my phone and show him some of the tamer text messages between Nadine and Vince. Louis whistles low. Damn, Elias, I'm sorry, man, that's rough. It gets worse, but I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because I need help with something that's definitely legal, but requires your particular skill set. Louis grins. I'm listening. I need to change the locks on my house today, while Nadine's at work. That's absolutely legal. It's your house too, right? Joint ownership, but I can prove I've been paying the mortgage solo for the past 2 years while she invested in the bakery. Then we're golden. What else? I need to reprogram the security system, remove her access codes, add some new features. Also legal. Anything else? I need to freeze our joint accounts, temporarily, for security purposes. Lewis leans back in his chair. Now that one's tricky. You can freeze accounts if you suspect fraudulent activity, but you need documentation. I show him screenshots of transfers from our joint business account to something called Morrison Consulting Services. What's Morrison Consulting Services? Lewis asks. Vince's side business, apparently. Nadine's been paying him for consulting on bakery renovations that never happened? Well, that looks like fraud to me. I think you've got grounds for a temporary freeze while you investigate. Perfect. We spend the next hour planning. Louis will handle the locks and security system. I'll deal with the financial stuff and start documenting everything for what comes next. What about Sienna? Louis asks as we're wrapping up. You said she wants in on this. We're meeting this afternoon. I figure she deserves to know exactly what her husband's been up to. Be careful, Elias. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and you're dealing with 2 scorned women if you count yourself as an honorary member of the club. At 3 o'clock, I meet Sienna in the parking lot behind the town library. She's sitting in a black SUV, sunglasses on despite the overcast sky. When I get in the passenger seat, I can see she's been crying. How long have you known? I ask. About a month. I found a receipt from the Ocean View motel in his truck. When I confronted him, he said it was for a business meeting with a client. She laughs bitterly. I guess he wasn't technically lying. I'm sorry, Sienna. This whole situation sucks. Don't apologize. You're not the one who decided to throw away a marriage for some baker's special frosting. I almost smile at that. Sienna's got a sharp tongue when she's angry. What do you want to do about it? I ask. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a manila folder. I've been busy since you called. Vince thinks I'm just the quiet little housewife who doesn't pay attention to his business, but I've been doing his books for 5 years. She opens the folder and shows me bank statements, receipts, and what looks like a ledger. Morrison Consulting Services is a shell company. Vince has been billing your wife for services he never provided, then using that money to pay for their little rendezvous. Hotel rooms, dinners, even a weekend trip to Portland last month. Son of a bitch. It gets better. He's been claiming the motel expenses as business deductions on his taxes. The IRS tends to frown on that kind of creative accounting. I stare at the paperwork. You've been planning this. Damn right I have. The question is, how far are you willing to go? What do you mean? Sienna takes off her sunglasses, and I can see the steel in her eyes. I mean, do you want to just embarrass them, or do you want to destroy them? I think about Nadine this morning, playing the loving wife while planning her next rendezvous. I think about 12 years of marriage thrown away for a contractor with wandering hands and flexible morals. What did you have in mind? Vince's biggest weakness is his reputation. This is a small town, and his business depends on people trusting him. If word gets out that he's a cheating fraud who steals from clients... His business would be finished. Exactly. And your wife's bakery depends on her reputation, too. What happens when people find out she's been serving more than pastries? They'd both be ruined, professionally and socially. In a town this size, that's a complete shutdown. I lean back in the seat, considering. It's harsh, but then again, they didn't consider the consequences when they decided to blow up 2 marriages. What's the plan? Sienna smiles, and it's not a nice smile. First, we gather more evidence. I'm going to set up a camera in Vince's truck. You keep monitoring Nadine's phone. We need video evidence of them together. Then what? Then we invite them to a dinner party they'll never forget. When I get home that evening, Nadine's in the kitchen again, this time making what looks like an elaborate chocolate cake. She's got flour in her hair and chocolate on her apron, looking like the picture of domestic bliss. What's the occasion? I ask. Oh, just practicing a new recipe. I might use it for a client. Let me guess. Vince Morrison? She freezes for just a moment, then continues frosting. Actually, yes. He's having a birthday party for his crew next week. The lies come so easily to her now. According to the texts I read last night, the cake is for a romantic picnic they're planning for tomorrow afternoon. That's nice of you, I say. I'm sure he'll appreciate all the effort you're putting into it. I hope so. I really want to make a good impression. Oh, I'm sure you've already made quite an impression, Nadine. My phone buzzes with a text from Louis. Locks changed, security updated. Your house is now Fort Knox. New codes are your birthday plus 2023. I delete the message and look at my wife, still focused on her cake. She has no idea that in about 12 hours, she's going to try to come home to a house that no longer recognizes her. I'm going to watch some TV, I tell her. Let me know if you need any help. Thanks, honey. You're so sweet. Sweet. Right. Tomorrow, she's going to find out exactly how sweet I can be. The next morning, Nadine's up early again, packing her special cake into a professional bakery box. She's wearing a sundress I've never seen before. Red, low-cut, definitely not her usual work attire. Another client meeting? I ask over my coffee. Vince wants to do a final tasting before the crew party. You know how picky contractors can be about their desserts. I'm sure he's very picky about his desserts. Will you be late again tonight? Probably. These things tend to run long when you're dealing with someone so detail-oriented. The way she says detail-oriented makes my skin crawl. She's practically glowing with anticipation, like a teenager getting ready for prom. Well, have fun with your tasting. She kisses my cheek before heading out, and I have to resist the urge to wipe it off immediately. Instead, I wait until her car disappears down the street, then grab my laptop and check the GPS tracker. Sure enough, she's heading toward the Ocean View Motel. My phone rings. It's Sienna. They're both on the move, she says without preamble. Vince left 20 minutes ago with an overnight bag. Told me he had a job site emergency in Portland and wouldn't be back until tomorrow. Nadine just left with a cake and her best dress. Apparently Vince is very detail-oriented about his desserts. God, they're pathetic. Are you ready for Phase 2? Phase 2 involves Margie, Nadine's bakery assistant. Margie's worked for Nadine for 3 years, and she's been getting increasingly frustrated with her boss's mysterious absences that leave her handling the bakery alone. I drive over to Sweet Dreams Bakery, the little shop Nadine opened 5 years ago with money from my engineering contracts. The irony isn't lost on me that I helped fund the business that's now facilitating her affair. Margie's behind the counter, looking frazzled as she handles the morning rush alone. She's a sweet kid, maybe 25, with purple-streaked hair and more piercings than a tackle box. She looks up when I walk in, and her face immediately shows concern. Oh, hi, Mr. Thompson. Is everything okay? Nadine said she had an emergency client meeting, but she's been having a lot of those lately? Margie glances around, making sure no customers are listening, then nods. I don't want to cause trouble, but I'm basically running this place by myself 3 days a week now. And some of the orders she's been taking don't make sense. What do you mean? Like yesterday, she made a custom chocolate cake for a crew birthday party. But when I asked about the order details for our records, she said it was being paid for in cash, and I didn't need to worry about paperwork. That does seem odd. And last week, she spent $200 on specialty ingredients for what she called a catering consultation, but there's no record of any catering contract. Margie's sharper than Nadine gives her credit for. She's been keeping track of the inconsistencies, probably out of professional frustration more than suspicion. Margie, can I ask you something confidential? She nods eagerly. If you found out someone was using their business to cover up something inappropriate, what would you do? Her eyes widen. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm not saying anything officially, but hypothetically, if someone wanted to document unusual business activities for legal purposes, how would they go about it? Margie's expression hardens. Hypothetically, that someone would want copies of all the irregular orders, receipts for cash transactions, and maybe some photos of inventory that doesn't match the books. And hypothetically, would that someone be willing to help document these irregularities? Mr. Thompson, I've been covering for your wife's emergencies for months while she gallivants around town. If she's doing what I think she's doing, then hypothetically, that someone would be very willing to help. 20 minutes later, I walk out of the bakery with a manila envelope full of documentation that shows Nadine's been systematically misusing business resources for personal activities. Margie also agrees to keep a detailed log of future irregularities. My phone buzzes with a text from Sienna. Package delivered. Show starts at 2 p.m. The package is a small wireless camera that Sienna planted in Vince's truck while he was in the motel room. If everything goes according to plan, we'll have video evidence of their afternoon activities within a few hours. I drive home and spend the morning preparing for what comes next. Louis stops by around noon to check on the new security system and help me set up a few additional features. You sure about this? He asks as we program the new access codes. Once you lock her out, there's no going back. She made her choice, Louis. Now she gets to live with the consequences. What about you? What are you going to do after all this is over? I look around the house Nadine and I bought together 12 years ago. The kitchen where she used to cook for me instead of other men. The living room where we used to watch movies together instead of her sneaking off to motels. I'm going to start over. Clean slate. Good for you, man. You deserve better than this. At 2:30, my laptop chimes with an alert from the camera feed. I click on the link Sienna sent me, and there they are, Nadine and Vince, in the front seat of his truck, going at it like teenagers at a drive-in movie. It's nauseating and heartbreaking and infuriating all at once, but it's also exactly what I need. I download the video file and add it to the growing collection of evidence. Photos, bank records, text messages, business documents, and now video proof. If this were a legal case, I'd have enough evidence to convict. But this isn't a legal case. This is something much more personal. My phone rings. It's Sienna again. Did you see it? Yeah, I saw it. How do you feel? Like I want to burn his truck down with both of them in it. Good. Hold on to that feeling. We're going to need it for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night? The dinner party, remember? I'm inviting Vince over for a special meal. You're going to invite Nadine. And then we're going to serve them both a dish they'll never forget. What if they don't come? Oh, they'll come. Trust me. That evening, Nadine returns home around 8 o'clock, looking thoroughly satisfied with her client meeting. She's got that post-coital glow that I used to think was meant for me. How was the tasting? I ask. Wonderful. Vince was very appreciative of my efforts. I'm sure he was. Did he like the cake? He said it was the best he's ever had, very moist and rich. I want to vomit. That's great, honey. I'm glad your hard work paid off. She settles onto the couch next to me, curling up like a contented cat. You know what? I was thinking we should have people over for dinner soon. It's been too long since we entertained. Funny you should mention that. I was thinking the same thing. Really? Who should we invite? I pretend to consider it. How about Vince and his wife? You've been working with him so much lately, it might be nice to meet socially. For just a moment, panic flashes across her face. Then she recovers. Oh, I don't know if that's a good idea. It might be awkward mixing business with pleasure. Come on, it'll be fun. Besides, I'd like to get to know the man who's been taking up so much of your time. Elias, I really don't think... I insist. In fact, I'll call them right now and set it up. Before she can protest further, I pull out my phone and dial Sienna's number. She answers on the first ring. Sienna? Hi, it's Elias Thompson. Nadine and I were wondering if you and Vince would like to come over for dinner tomorrow night. Oh, wonderful. 7 o'clock works perfectly. Yes, Nadine's very excited to meet you properly. I hang up and smile at my wife, whose face has gone completely white. All set. Tomorrow night at 7. Elias, I really don't think this is a good idea. What if what, Nadine? What could possibly go wrong with having dinner with your favorite client and his wife? She opens her mouth to respond, then closes it again. She's trapped, and she knows it. If she protests too much, she'll have to explain why she doesn't want her husband meeting her lover's wife. Nothing, she says finally. Nothing could go wrong. Great. It's going to be a dinner party none of us will ever forget. I spend the next day preparing for the dinner party like I'm planning a military operation. Every detail matters, every contingency accounted for. This isn't just about confronting Nadine and Vince. It's about making sure they understand exactly what they've lost and exactly what it's going to cost them. Sienna texts me throughout the day with updates. Vince is nervous about the dinner, asking her questions about what I might know. She's playing it perfectly, acting like the oblivious wife who's excited to finally meet her husband's business associate. He's sweating bullets, she texts. Keeps asking if you seemed suspicious when you called. I told him you seemed perfectly friendly. How's he explaining his nervousness? Says he's worried about mixing business with social stuff, afraid it might make things awkward with future contracts. If only he knew how awkward things are about to get. Nadine's even more on edge. She's changed clothes 3 times, trying to find something that looks appropriate for a dinner party, but not like she's trying to impress another woman's husband. It's a delicate balance when you're sleeping with the guest of honor. Maybe we should postpone this, she suggests for the 4th time, as she checks her reflection in the hallway mirror. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Nonsense, you look beautiful. I'm sure Vince will think so too. She flinches at that, and I have to hide my satisfaction. At 6:30, I'm setting the dining room table when my phone buzzes with a message from Louis. Everything's in place. You sure you want to go through with this? I look around the dining room where Nadine and I used to host dinner parties for our real friends, back when we were actually happy. Back when she looked at me the way she now looks at Vince Morrison. I'm sure, I text back. At exactly 7 o'clock, the doorbell rings. Nadine jumps like she's been electrocuted. I'll get it, I say cheerfully. Vince Morrison stands on my front porch holding a bottle of wine and wearing the kind of forced smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He's a big guy, about 6'2", broad shoulders, the kind of rugged good looks that probably made him popular in high school and apparently still work on married women. Behind him is Sienna, and she's absolutely stunning. Blonde hair, blue eyes, wearing a black dress that shows off a figure that makes me wonder what the hell Vince was thinking when he decided to cheat on her. Elias, Vince says with fake enthusiasm. Great to finally meet you properly. I've heard so much about you. I'll bet you have. Likewise, Vince. And Sienna, you look absolutely gorgeous tonight. Thank you, she says, giving me a smile that looks genuine but has steel underneath. I've been looking forward to this all day. I lead them into the living room where Nadine is waiting, perched on the edge of the couch like she's ready to bolt. When Vince walks in, her face goes through a series of micro-expressions, relief, nervousness, and something that looks almost like longing. "Nadine," Vince says carefully, "good to see you again." "You too," she replies, not quite meeting his eyes. Sienna steps forward with a bright smile. "And you must be Nadine. I'm Sienna Morrison. I've heard so much about your bakery. Vince says you make the most incredible cakes." "Oh, well, I try my best," Nadine stammers. "He came home yesterday absolutely raving about some chocolate cake you made, said it was the most satisfying thing he'd ever tasted." The double meaning isn't lost on anyone in the room. Vince looks like he wants to disappear into the floor, and Nadine's face is turning an interesting shade of red. "Can I get everyone drinks?" I ask. "I've got a nice bottle of wine open, or there's beer, cocktails." "Wine sounds perfect," Sienna says. "Something red and full-bodied." I pour drinks while making small talk, watching the dynamics play out. Vince keeps shooting nervous glances at Nadine, who's trying to act normal while sitting as far away from him as possible. Sienna is playing her role perfectly, the charming wife who has no idea her husband is screwing the hostess. "So Vince," I say as I hand him a glass of wine, "Nadine tells me you've been working together quite a bit lately." "Oh, well, you know how it is with these business relationships. Sometimes they require a lot of personal attention." "I'm sure they do. And I appreciate how accommodating Nadine's been with your schedule. All those late-night meetings, weekend consultations. She's really gone above and beyond." Nadine's wine glass trembles in her hand. "Your wife is very dedicated to customer satisfaction," Vince says carefully. "She certainly is. Always willing to give that extra special service." Sienna laughs. "You two sound like you're talking in code. What kind of services are we discussing here?" "Catering," Nadine says quickly. "Just catering services for Vince's construction crews." "Oh, how wonderful. I had no idea you were expanding into catering, Nadine. Vince never mentioned that." Vince shoots his wife a look that screams, "Shut up," but Sienna either doesn't notice or doesn't care. "What kind of events have you catered?" she continues. "Birthday parties? Corporate functions?" "Mostly private events," Nadine manages. "How private are we talking? Like intimate dinner parties?" "Something like that." "Well, I think it's wonderful that you're branching out. Small businesses need to diversify to survive, don't they?" I raise my glass. "To diversification." "To diversification," Sienna echoes with a smile that could cut glass. We move to the dining room for dinner, and I've arranged the seating strategically. Nadine and I sit across from each other, with Vince and Sienna on the sides. It forces everyone to look at each other throughout the meal, no hiding behind strategic positioning. "This roast looks incredible," Sienna says as I carve the meat. "You're quite the cook, Elias." "I've had to learn. Nadine's been so busy with work lately, I've been doing most of the cooking at home." "That must be frustrating," she says sympathetically. "Vince has been working late a lot, too. Sometimes I feel like I barely see him." "Where does he go for these late meetings?" I ask innocently. "Oh, different places. Job sites, client offices, sometimes hotels if he's meeting with out-of-town investors." "Hotels?" Nadine squeaks. The Ocean View motel, usually. He says it's convenient and affordable for business meetings." The silence that follows is deafening. Vince looks like he's about to have a heart attack, and Nadine appears to have stopped breathing entirely. "The Ocean View?" I say thoughtfully. "That's interesting. Nadine's been there recently, too. Haven't you, honey?" "What?" "For client meetings. I saw the key on your keychain." "Oh, right. Yes. Sometimes clients prefer to meet somewhere neutral." "What a coincidence," Sienna says brightly. "You and Vince have been meeting at the same motel. I hope you ran into each other. It would be nice to think you weren't both there alone." This is it. The moment of truth. I can see both Nadine and Vince calculating their options, trying to figure out how much we know and how much they can still deny. I decide to help them with their calculations. Actually, I say, reaching into my jacket pocket, I have something that might interest everyone. I pull out my phone and set it on the table. I've been having some concerns about our business finances lately, some irregularities in our accounts, so I did a little investigating. I open the photo gallery and start scrolling through screenshots of their text messages. Can't wait to taste your special recipe again tonight, I read aloud. Your husband doesn't know what he's missing. I look up at the table. These are interesting business communications, don't you think? Nadine's face has gone completely white. Elias, I can explain. Oh, there's more. I keep scrolling. I'll make sure to bring extra frosting. You know how messy things get. I look at Vince. Very professional correspondence. Now wait just a minute. Vince starts. But the really interesting part, I continue, is the financial records. Nadine's been paying Morrison consulting services for work that was never performed. Isn't that right, Sienna? Sienna nods, pulling out her own folder. Vince created a shell company to bill Nadine for services. Then he used that money to pay for hotel rooms, dinners, and romantic getaways. You've been investigating us? Vince demands. We've been investigating fraud, I correct. The fact that you two have been screwing each other is just the cherry on top of this shit sundae. Elias, please. Nadine tries again. Please what? Please pretend I don't know that you've been cheating on me for 3 months? Please ignore the fact that you've been stealing from our business to fund your affair? It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she says, tears starting to flow. How was it supposed to happen, Nadine? Were you planning to ask my permission first? Vince stands up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. Sit down, Sienna says quietly. Excuse me? I said sit down, Vincent. We're not done here. There's something in her voice that makes him comply immediately. Sienna reaches into her purse and pulls out a tablet. While we're sharing, I thought you might like to see this. She taps the screen, and suddenly we're watching video footage of Vince and Nadine in his truck, going at it like animals in heat. Nadine gasps and covers her face with her hands. Vince lunges for the tablet, but I'm faster. Careful there, Vince. You wouldn't want to damage evidence. Evidence of what? Fraud, for starters. Adultery, theft. Should I continue? You can't prove anything. Actually, we can prove everything. Bank records, text messages, photos, video, witness statements from Margie about your wife's mysterious absences and cash transactions. I lean back in my chair, enjoying the look of dawning horror on both their faces. Here's what's going to happen, I continue. Nadine, you're going to pack a bag and get out of my house tonight. The locks have been changed, the security codes have been updated, and you're no longer welcome here. You can't just kick me out. This is my house too. Actually, I can. Check the mortgage documents. I've been making the payments alone for 2 years while you invested in your business. My lawyer says I have grounds for immediate separation due to adultery and financial misconduct. And Vince, Sienna adds sweetly, you're going to find that your business accounts have been frozen pending an investigation into fraudulent billing practices. You can't do that. I'm the one who does your books, remember? I found irregularities and reported them to the appropriate authorities. It's my civic duty. The room falls silent, except for Nadine's quiet sobbing. Vince looks like he's calculating whether he can fight his way out of this, but the math doesn't work in his favor. What do you want? He asks finally. Justice, I say simply. And what does justice look like? I smile, and it's not a nice smile. You're about to find out. The silence stretches for what feels like hours but is probably only seconds. Nadine's mascara is running down her cheeks in black streams, and Vince looks like he's aged 10 years in the past 10 minutes. So what now? Vince asks, his voice hoarse. You've humiliated us, exposed us, destroyed our businesses. What more do you want? Oh, we're just getting started, Sienna says cheerfully. She pulls out her phone and starts typing. I'm posting these photos to the Millfield Community Facebook page. You know, The one with 3,000 members that includes basically everyone in town. You can't do that, Nadine gasps. Actually, I can. These photos were taken in a public parking lot. No expectation of privacy. Please, Vince begs. Think about what this will do to our reputations. The same thing your affair did to our marriages, I reply. The only difference is now everyone gets to see what kind of people you really are. My phone buzzes with notifications as Sienna's post goes live. The comments start immediately. Oh my God, isn't that Nadine from the bakery? That's definitely Vince Morrison's truck. Aren't they both married to other people? I knew something was going on. My sister saw them at the Ocean View last week. Within minutes, the post has dozens of likes and shares. In a town the size of Millfield, this is better than front-page news. You've destroyed us, Nadine whispers. No, I correct her. You destroyed yourselves. We just made sure everyone could see the wreckage. Vince's phone starts ringing. Then Nadine's. Then both their phones are buzzing constantly with calls, texts, and social media notifications. I should probably mention, Sienna adds casually, that I also sent copies of all the evidence to the local newspaper. The Millfield Gazette loves a good scandal, and this one has everything. Adultery, fraud, small business corruption. It'll probably make the front page. And I called Detective Hart, I add. Gave him all the financial records showing the fraudulent billing. He seemed very interested in Morrison Consulting Services. Vince's face goes gray. You called the cops? I reported a crime. What happens next is up to them. This is insane, Nadine says, standing up shakily. You're both insane. Are we? I ask. Or are we just people who got tired of being lied to and cheated on? We never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen, Nadine? Were you planning to divorce me first? Were you going to tell me about the affair before I found out on my own? She doesn't answer, which is answer enough. Here's what's going to happen next, I continue. You're going to pack whatever you can carry and leave my house, tonight. Where am I supposed to go? I hear the Ocean View Motel has reasonable weekly rates. Elias, please. Can't we work this out? Go to counseling or something? I look at my wife of 12 years. This woman I used to love more than anything in the world and feel absolutely nothing. There's nothing to work out, Nadine. You made your choice. Now live with it. And you, Sienna says to Vince, are going to pack your things and get out of my house. I've already filed for divorce. You'll be served with papers tomorrow. Sienna, come on. We can fix this. Fix what? The fact that you've been cheating on me for months? The fact that you committed fraud to pay for your affair? The fact that you're about to be arrested for financial crimes? As if on cue, we hear car doors slamming outside. Through the dining room window, I can see Detective Hart walking up the front path with another officer. That'll be for you, Vince, I say helpfully. The doorbell rings, and I go to answer it. Detective Hart is a big man with graying hair and the kind of tired eyes that come from 20 years of dealing with small-town drama. Evening, Elias. Sorry to interrupt your dinner party, but I need to speak with Vincent Morrison about some financial irregularities. Of course, Detective. He's right in the dining room. I lead Hart and his partner back to where our dinner party has devolved into a scene from a soap opera. Vince is standing now, looking like he's considering making a run for it. Vincent Morrison? Hart asks. Yeah, that's me. I need you to come with me for questioning regarding fraudulent billing practices and possible tax evasion. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but I strongly suggest you cooperate. Vince looks around the room like he's searching for an escape route, but there isn't one. His wife hates him, his lover's husband has destroyed him, and now the law is closing in. Can I call a lawyer? That's probably a good idea, Hart says dryly. As the police escort Vince out, Sienna turns to Nadine with a smile that could freeze hell. I guess that leaves just us girls, she says. How does it feel to know that your affair partner is about to be arrested for fraud? This is all your fault, Nadine snarls, finally showing some fight. If you hadn't been spying on him, If I hadn't been spying on him, you'd still be stealing from your husband to fund your little romance. At least now everyone knows what kind of person you really are. What kind of person am I, Sienna? The kind who throws away a 12-year marriage for a contractor with wandering hands and flexible morals. The kind who steals from her own business to pay for hotel rooms. The kind who lies to her husband's face while planning her next rendezvous. Nadine's composure finally cracks completely. You don't know anything about my marriage. You don't know what it's like to be taken for granted, to have your husband treat you like a roommate instead of a wife. So you decided to solve that problem by screwing someone else's husband? Vince made me feel alive again. He appreciated me in ways Elias never did. He appreciated your willingness to pay for hotel rooms, I correct. The moment his money was on the line, he threw you under the bus. That's not true. Isn't it? Where is he now, Nadine? Is he here defending you, fighting for your relationship? Or is he in the back of a police car, probably already planning to blame everything on you? She doesn't have an answer for that. Pack your things, I say quietly. You have 30 minutes. And then what? Then you figure out how to rebuild your life without destroying anyone else's in the process. Nadine looks around the dining room one last time, taking in the remnants of our dinner party and our marriage. Then she walks upstairs without another word. Sienna and I clean up the dishes in comfortable silence. It's strange how normal it feels, washing plates and glasses while my wife packs her belongings upstairs and her lover sits in a jail cell downtown. Do you think we went too far? Sienna asks as she dries a wine glass. Do you? She considers this. No. I think we went exactly as far as we needed to. They destroyed 2 marriages and committed multiple crimes. All we did was make sure there were consequences. Still, it's a lot of consequences. Good. Maybe next time they'll think twice before blowing up other people's lives. Nadine comes downstairs 20 minutes later with 2 suitcases and a look of defeated resignation. She sets the bags by the front door and turns to face us. I'm sorry, she says quietly. For what it's worth, I never wanted it to happen like this. How did you want it to happen? I ask. I don't know. I felt so invisible in our marriage. Like I was just going through the motions of being a wife without any of the joy or passion. So you found passion with someone else instead of talking to me about it. Would you have listened? We'll never know now, will we? She picks up her suitcases and heads for the door. At the threshold, she turns back one more time. What happens to the bakery? That depends on whether you can run a business from jail, Sienna says helpfully. The IRS tends to take a dim view of unreported income and fraudulent expenses. Nadine's face crumples, but she doesn't say anything else. She just walks out into the night, leaving behind 12 years of marriage and whatever future we might have had together. I close the door behind her and turn the deadbolt. The sound is final, definitive. How do you feel? Sienna asks. I think about it for a moment. Empty, relieved, angry, satisfied, all at once. That sounds about right. What about you? Like I just took out the trash. We sit on the couch and open a bottle of wine. A good bottle, not the cheap stuff I served at dinner. Outside, I can hear cars driving by slowly, probably hoping to catch a glimpse of the drama that's been unfolding in our house all evening. The whole town's going to be talking about this for months, I observe. Good. Let them talk. Maybe it'll make other cheating spouses think twice. My phone buzzes with a text from Louis. Saw the Facebook post. Holy shit, man. You really went nuclear. I show the message to Sienna, and she laughs. Nuclear, she repeats. I like that. Any regrets? Only that we didn't do it sooner. We sit in comfortable silence, drinking wine and watching the wreckage of our old lives settle into something that might eventually become new beginnings. It's not the ending I would have chosen for my marriage, but it's the ending Nadine chose when she decided to throw it all away for a contractor with flexible morals and fraudulent business practices. Outside, the town of Millfield continues its slow gossip mill, processing the scandal that will probably be talked about for years to come. Inside, two people who got tired of being lied to sit quietly and plan what comes next. It's not a happy ending, but it's a just one. And sometimes, justice is enough.